confidence can be shaken. But efficacy, when you have efficacy, that's your foundation.
Very excited for today's episode. This is Barriers to Breakthrough, the leadership series, where we are discussing all things leadership with some very prominent leaders. And so I'm excited for the guest that we have today. We have the Herrings here, both doctors. And, you know, I was thinking about it as I was reading through notes. I was like, okay, we can go with initials, but nope, they have the same initials. I was like, oh, this is dope, like the synergy. So we're going to dive into some conversation about leadership. But we have the Herrings here today. I'm really excited about talking to you and getting to know you through this interview, and hopefully this will help some folks. This is, again, the leadership series, Barriers to Breakthrough, with the book. I am the author, Dr. Don Wilkins, the author of Barriers to Breakthrough, and that is the guide to leadership and to help the younger leaders and the folks that are coming up. And so right now we're going to talk to the leader, to the Herrings right now. I would like to start by doing a couple of things. We do some interesting things and like get into the minds of the leaders that we talk to. So, but before we do that, if you guys can just give us the rundown. So, Dr. Herring, the first Dr. Herring, if you can give us the rundown of your bio, how you get into leadership, and like what are you currently doing, and then we'll do the same with you.
Absolutely. So, the way that you delineate between the two of us is that she is most definitely the best Dr. Herring.
Okay,
and I am the mediocre.
Okay,
or just okay. Dr.
Yeah,
Herring.
I won't do that, but I got you.
Well, in relationship to her, that's where I go. I know where I am, right?
Yeah.
So,
humility.
As far as leadership is concerned, I think throughout my whole life I've been thrust into leadership roles. Like, I don't know why or how, or I didn't know, but I understand now that it's probably because of my paradigms, the way that I've programmed myself over the course of my life. There's been things that have happened. Grew up here in the city of Pittsburgh, maybe about 2 or 3 miles down Penn Avenue in Wilkinsburg, and wasn't the best student, but always was in charge, like class president with a 2.3 GPA. How does that work? You know what I mean? How do you do these types of things? But it was like there's something about my energy and the things that I put into myself from an early age, studying personal development, learning about Zig Ziglar and different people like that, just piqued my curiosity, and then just digging into it for the last 40 years or so. And so that's how I definitely became really interested in leadership and personal development. Currently, besides being the mediocre Dr. Herring, I am the director of student and community engagement at a large suburban school district here in the greater Pittsburgh area. And I'm also the chief thought partner for Herrings Seminars and Consulting.
Which we are going to get to. It's really what I want to dive into that as well. So the best Dr. Herring.
Or Dr. Christine.
Christine.
That we also we can also delineate like that. So I would say my leadership journey has been born out of a deep desire to help people be the best versions of themselves. And that started as a kid. I was always that person looking out for everyone growing up. And so it became natural. And then when we had our children, that's, as a parent, you're a leader. So demonstrating to them is not just telling them what I desired from them, but showing them. And raising 3 daughters, that's even more important. They're watching us. And I've always I've had this desire, or I don't even know, I won't even call it desire. I've had this notion that leadership should be like 360 degrees. You just lead from wherever you are, because leadership is about people, and it's about helping and not telling people what to do, but helping people figure it out. Mm-hmm. And so I would say that's how my leadership journey started.
Yeah, and what are you currently doing?
And currently, so my background is education. And so I just lent itself to leader as a leader in the classroom. But currently, I'm the CEO of Herrings Seminars and Consulting, and the CEO and co-founder of FlexCom.
So we're going to get into those things because as I was reading through you guys' bios and trying to figure out, where we could potentially take this conversation to support younger leaders and or people that need maybe a boost or paradigm shift or perspective shift in how they lead. I noticed the consulting piece, which is something I think some of the folks that are listening to this could be very interested in. But I want to, before we go there, we'll probably end there. I want to take it back. You both mentioned that leadership was something that was innate to you early on. Could you remember the first time that you noticed that people were either following you and or they're like, you know what, I got to do this. Like this is the thing I need to take charge of. What was their first role in leadership?
As I said, starting as a child on my street, I grew up in Homewood, and we would have these carnivals. And I was always the one in charge of organizing all the acts.
So did that stuff come to you, or did you like go and get it? Like,
well,
did it gravitate towards you?
It was that I was just, well, Chuck used this term voluntold. So I was voluntold. It was like, okay, Christine's going, or Chrissy, that's what I was called as a child. Chrissy's in charge of organizing everything, telling everybody what they're going to do, figuring out what the food, how much we were going to sell stuff. Yeah. So it was just kind of, naturally, people just gravitated to me. And I've never really understood that. So I haven't always embraced it and walked in it. Yeah. But because I want to help and I have, I'm a deep empath, I've just taken on that role.
What about you? What was your first role in leadership?
I can talk about the carnivals, but, that was the carnivals when we would do the backyard carnivals and supposed to give the money to a charity, and kind of the charity was the PCH, the Poor Chuck Herring Fund.
Yeah.
But, I've outgrown that. And so I would say sometime, I want to say high school, 14, 15 years old. Again, told you I wasn't the best student in school, really mediocre. That's why I said the mediocre Chuck Herring, because 2.3, not doing that well. But the school chose me to be the one to do all of the speaking, the activities, to go to like the Rotary Club overnight events, and because I carried myself a certain way. I don't know, like you said, there's a certain energy, there's a certain attraction or something that people just gravitate to you, and it doesn't have to be what most people think are the things that what leaders are. It's really the innate things that drive people to you early. Yeah. And then you develop the skills as people are coming to you.
Piggybacking off that point of developing skills along the way, one of the things that I've noticed in leadership, and we were having this conversation before we started rolling, is that people are placed into leadership, maybe a title or a role, and they don't get a bunch of training to do it. I'm definitely thinking about it in education. The vacancy might be there, and we've been trying to fill it. So you know what? Let's get Chuck to do it. Chuck's gonna do it, and maybe there's some rationale behind it, but there's definitely no training. You get in there and figure it out, and we're gonna back you up, but really there's no support or training. If you had any, who was your first like mentor, the person that like kind of ushered you through, mentored you through, any type of leadership role that you had, if you had one?
You want to go first?
I can. All right, I'll roll. Mine is Mr. Tyndall. Mr. Tyndall was the principal of Wilkinsburg High School. And unlike most black children at Wilkinsburg at the time, I was so fortunate because my first grade teacher was black. My second grade teacher was a black male. My third grade teacher was a black person. My fourth grade teacher was a male. My fifth grade teacher was a male. My sixth grade teacher was the GOAT, Mrs. Harvey, and she so dope. Throughout middle school, black teachers. High school, I had a black counselor, had black football and black basketball coach, and a black principal. So who has that, right? And I never thought that I would get into education. But when I did decide to get into education, the one thing that I saw was excellence. And I was like, I don't know if I could get to Mrs. Harvey's level. But I saw a lot of mediocrity too. I know I could be better than that dude. You see what I'm saying? So, but Mr. Tyndall was one of those people who saw me for what I was becoming and not who I was at the moment. And so I would do things and just go right up to the line of, probably should be getting kicked out of school right now. But he would never kick me out of school. And he would call me in. He would, Charles, govern it, like, oh, snap. Then I would come in, Mr. Tyndall, man. And he would ask me questions, and he would talk me off the ledge or whatever. Then he would send me back to class. And
so you were getting mentorship informally, and you didn't even really recognize it?
Absolutely not. I had no idea. But I knew that when I decided that this was going to be my path forward, I would never do a referral. I would never suspend anyone or do anything like that. We're going to work this out.
Yeah.
Because there's something that's going on that's the root of this behavior. And everybody just wants to deal with the behaviors, and they don't want to deal with the roots.
My experience was a little different in that I just always believed in excellence. And so I found myself, I think now having language for it, I think it might have been imposter syndrome, not feeling like I was good enough, smart enough, or enough, period. And so I always sought out ways to make myself better. So when I first started teaching, I always laughed when people said, well, teachers have the best job. They're off in the summers. I was never off in the summers because I was always going to a workshop. So I was always doing something to better myself. When I would listen to something about professional or personal development, if they recommended a book, I got the book. I read the book. And so I was just always wanting to, I saw myself as, I didn't want to get in a position and not be excellent at it, because I felt that I had that I could either open a door for someone else, or I could cause a door to be closed for someone else. And so I always wanted to make sure that someone didn't say, oh, we hired her and that didn't work out. And being a Black woman, I recognize that. And I recognize that sometimes I might be looked at as being hired just because I'm a woman, or just because specifically I'm a Black woman. And so I wanted to show that, no, I'm here because I've earned it, I deserve it, and I'm the best at it.
So who was your mentor? Like, who was that first person that, like, I'm going to take her under my wing and let me show her a few things?
When I've been asked that question a lot, and I know it's going to sound crazy, but it was Chuck. Yes.
Well, break that down. I want to hear about this one.
It was Chuck, because growing up, there were I listened to him tell his story about all of his teachers and all. Like, I can only remember one teacher of mine, my sixth grade teacher, Mr. Carter. And Mr. Carter, he was influential in the fact that he would always tell me that I needed to have more confidence and belief in myself. And so that stuck with me, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I still.
Chuck did something. So what did Chuck do?
And when Chuck came along, I felt like he saw me. I felt like he saw me. Like he made me come out of comfortable positions, because you can't grow in a place of comfort. So he helped me stretch myself. Yeah. And he believed in me and he would always say, hold on to my belief until you develop your own. And so I'm running Herrings seminars and consulting now because he put me out there. I'm sitting here now because he's he jokes around and he says, you're the best Dr. Herring, but he really believes that. And he tells me that. And so when someone tells you something long enough and strong enough, you start to believe it.
You have hit on something that is in the book, Barriers to Breakthrough, that I'm going to try to unpack through questioning you guys. What I believe, what I just heard, is not only the mentorship that was provided to both of you through your teachers and your principal, but you to her, to your wife. efficacy was passed on. And for people that don't know, efficacy is really just a belief that you can solve problems and get things done within yourself. It may not be, it's not necessarily attached to like data, but it's really just one's belief that they can get things done. And I feel like that's what I just heard from you guys. So I was looking at the camera because I want to, hopefully we can get some graphics about efficacy up there. But, but I hear that. And I know that in the book, Barriers to Breakthrough, we mention that because as leaders, we're charged to do that. We're going to be leading people that don't have the belief that the task can get done or that they're the person to do the task. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And this is perfect. That was actually almost made me tear up a little bit because I'm just like, man, I want to be that good to somebody like that. So go ahead, Chuck. But so thinking about efficacy and thinking about the workplace, we have the whole gamut of someone that maybe have a ton of efficacy and maybe even delusional, thinking they could do anything. And then there's the other, end of the spectrum where, someone who doesn't even recognize their skill set. I think that we're products of someone recognizing the skill set in us and like giving us an opportunity. What have you seen in that regards in terms of either having someone that may be a little bit, you need to reel them in because they feel like they can do everything, or the other side, or anything in between?
You want me to go?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay.
With that.
Well, first thing I thought when you said can do everything and you have to reel them in a little bit, the first person I thought, you know where I'm going, right?
No name drop. They might watch it, but
you know where I'm going. Well, this is, they won't mind because it's my child.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
we can get
so
them there. Yeah.
So our younger daughter, and she's brilliant, right? We have 3 brilliant daughters. They're amazing. Our youngest daughter went to Brown. She's been in places and in spaces that we couldn't even imagine being in at 28 years old. And so she has very strong efficacy. Mm-hmm. However, there are times when, because I listen to her, like when I have a business question, she was very instrumental in helping me get, understand some things about my value, setting my price limits, contracts, all of this stuff.
The technical pieces.
Yes. Yeah. So, but however, she has a difficult time sometimes listening to us because she feels like we haven't been in those spaces. Mm-hmm. And because we are very personally and professionally developed, we know how to navigate that space. And so we give her the space to be who she is and impart her knowledge to us. But we also have learned how to have a conversation with her in a way that she can receive what we're trying to give her.
Yeah, this is some good stuff here, guys. This is navigating difficult conversations, yeah.
And it can't just be coming head on. Like, we can't give her information like she gives it to us. And we have to recognize and be able to unpack conversations with her, and maybe also realize sometimes this isn't the time to unpack this conversation because she's not going to hear it.
Time and place. So I'm gonna ask you the same question because I'm interested to hear your response in that. But there was so much that you just said that I want to kind of sparse out, because what I heard was planting seeds on some fertile ground, and the fertility of that ground may be the timing or the space. Like, hey, we're at this venue, so leaders, you got all these things come into account when you're trying to land a plane. Like, we can all have a conversation with someone, but like, did intended outcome, did you get that across? Like, did that land the way that you wanted it to? And I heard you guys talking about some seasoned leadership, albeit through parenthood. Still, I got to figure out, is this the time? Is this the space to talk to her? How do I package this information? How much of it do I give? All of that is a part of leadership that I think that, early on leaders may not take that into account. Here's a goal I have to have, and I'm just going to give it to you. But I heard that sometimes people can give information one way and not so much be able to receive it the same way that they give it. So that was golden. That was golden, man. You unpacked all of that really well.
That one.
Yeah. What about you, Dr. Herring? Whom in any of the regards, and it doesn't have to be your children, because we want them to watch this and pass this on too. So
Absolutely.
yeah, who else?
I'm going to say, just tell you a situation.
Sure.
So you talked about this a few minutes ago about just like being thrust into a leadership position.
Yeah.
My what was it, third year teaching, I was thrust into a leadership role. I didn't have my papers, so you can flip it. Instead of being an assistant principal, you can be a principal's assistant. Yeah.
I like that.
Because we do that stuff here where we have people who are not assistant superintendents, they're assistants to the superintendent. Right? So kind of did that. And I was like, that's when I realized I do not want to be a principal. However, there was a situation where there was a mandate that came down from up above, and we had to get some stuff done, and it was up to me to deliver it to the staff. And especially because I was a K6 certified, so I worked with primarily women. And I grew up with all men, and ironically, we have three daughters, 2 granddaughters. First grandson came 7 months ago. So it's just like, whoa, all these women in my life. But I was prepared because of her. And I'm going to say this. So there was a situation, and I call myself, giving them the proper amount of time to be ready for it. And what happened? I was like, okay, this is what we have to do. I wasn't happy with it. They weren't happy with it, but it needed to be done. I let them talk. We were in a meeting. It was about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And then I was like, look, can't bellyache about this all night. It's something that got to be done. Let's just get it done. And so I came home and I told her, she's like, you said that?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. And she was like, you can't say that to women. And I was like, what do you mean I can't say that to women? I didn't say anything disrespectful. She's like, no, they're going to take that. They're going to internalize that. They're going to make it so that you basically curse them out inside of their heads, and they're going to come and they're going to have attitudes with you about something that's really minute, and you're all on the same page, but you have to frame it. And going back to the way that she said, a time and place.
So good.
Sometimes you have to be directorial in your leadership style, but that wasn't the time for it.
Yeah.
That was the time to just let them give them a day.
Yeah.
Give them whatever they needed, and then we come back to it. But I was young.
Yep.
I didn't know any better, didn't have the experience. But fortunately for me, she talks about how much that I give her, she gives me.
Listen, I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it.
Absolutely. Be dropping nuggets. I mean, awesome. I just be scooping them up.
Yeah,
bro.
Man. So you guys are hitting on a lot of the book barriers to breakthrough and some of the strategies. So I'm listening to some of these strategies that are coming out, and folks that have the book, you guys are reading through this and hearing that this seasoned leadership, you can hear some of those effective strategies. As I'm listening to this, both scenarios, right? You guys have to do this active role in leadership. We have to balance between being a coach or a supervisor. In that moment, you took the supervisory role when maybe it could have been a coach, and me just sitting alongside them and maybe not look at it as belly aching, but like, hey, let them vent, and I'll help them process their thoughts, right? But we get that when we have had a few of those bumps and along the way. I want to kind of shift gears here. We are now in a climate and where the workplace is kind of changing. There is a multi-generational workplace like never before, and leaders now are charged with helping all of those different generations in one place stay anchored in a vision and mission. That is not an easy task, and especially not an easy task for a new leader or someone who hasn't received the training and or has this experience that you guys are demonstrating here. What experience do you guys have with like balancing that very delicate task of leading a group of folks who may not all have the same values for work, because in different generations value different things in the workplace? What experience do you guys have with like navigating that? And then kind of give some insight on like how did you get through it, or getting through it, if it's something that's currently going on?
Well, I think the foundation of all of it is communication. And unfortunately, people don't always understand or see what's their superpower in communicating. But
break that down. Superpower in communication.
So we have a company called FlexCom, and FlexCom is all about helping people understand their leading communication style. So we do it through talking about, we all have 4 communication styles. And because of our education background, we wanted something simple and easy. Mm-hmm. People can understand. Their report would be easy. The survey would be easy. The assessment would be easy. Everything would be accessible, because a lot of times these things are not accessible. And then you get them and you might read it and you're like, oh. And then it's just it collects dust. Yeah, it goes up under it. Yep. So we have 4 communication styles that we talk about. We talk about ant, ladybug, grasshopper, and caterpillar. We teach people that you have all 4. And what we want you to understand through an assessment that we give is, what is your leading? Your leading is your superpower. So, as you break it down really easy. What's your analogy to explain the 4?
Well, basically, being a leading grasshopper, my tendency is to lead with humor, to be a big picture thinker, to have efficacy. Sometimes, as she says, irrational confidence. But we get it done, though. Yeah. So that's one of them. Ants tend to be, they get really task-oriented, get things done, tend to be ones who are, look for leadership roles. Leading ants, leading caterpillars, they tend to be the folks who really love information and value how they can break down data and be able to lead. That's their communication superpower, through the data. And then ladybug's superpower is leading through empathy and being able to support people and understand. And actually, ladybugs are almost like the type O of communication.
Social emotional.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so when you know and understand the 4, we teach people through trainings how to maximize your leading, which is your superpower, but then flex into the other 3.
Hence the name of the company. Got it.
To be able to get the outcomes that you're desiring in a conversation.
Because you need them all.
Because you need them all. And so we didn't want people to feel that they were boxed in. So we say, no, you're not an ant. You're not a grasshopper. You're all 4, but this is the one that you tend to that happens naturally. That you just, in the other 3, you might have to. It's more intentional. You may have to think about it. So if I know, and Chuck and I've developed this over years, and we were finally able to get it put into an actual tool. But I know I could tell right off who I'm talking to, and I don't have to know. Like, I don't have to give you an assessment, but knowing the traits, I know enough from a conversation to be, okay, this person, I'm gonna need to give them some data, some information, because that's their superpower. And they're gonna need, if I'm trying to get a certain outcome, I may need to provide more information, because that's what they're seeking. I had an intern last year, and she was asking me to give her some advice on writing her essay for college. And I told her, because she took the assessment, and I told her to make sure that she put something from all 4 into her college essay, because you don't know who's going to be reading your essay. So this way you will be able to connect with whoever is reading it, because you put something in that essay that's going to resonate with them.
So we know that this leadership thing is multifaceted. Sometimes there's sleepless nights, and you guys have had to be able to, like, the blessing of being able to lean on each other throughout it. But man, leadership is tough. And it's glorified with the awards and things that we receive, but behind closed doors and in the behind the scenes work is the work that I really wanted to unveil to our viewers. What is talk to me about one of the things that you feel like is like the perils of leadership that is not really talked about as much as maybe the sexier things like DEI and all of those other like leading conversations that are happening now. But let's peel it back to like, what's the thing that keeps you up at night for leadership? Either one of you.
That's a good question.
I get my sleep.
No,
because that's part of that's a part of it.
Let's talk about that then. Because I see people struggle with work-life balance, right? And I got my own little thing about that, but talk about that. Well,
can I talk about work-life balance?
Yeah,
just a little bit, because there is no balance.
Okay.
Like, to be perfectly honest, so if you're dealing with 100%, everybody thinks that it's 50-50, and it's like, balance is always, like when you're riding the bike, the way you're balancing is just by moving forward. You can't balance just by sitting there, because you're always going to be going this way, that way. So it might be 70 over here. So I need to go ahead and counterbalance it over here to get that 20%. Now you might go 60 over here. Like, oh, snap, it's 40. So you keep going back and forth, back and forth. So there's no such thing as true 50-50 balance. Mm-hmm. Balance is always those minor corrections as you're going throughout your day, right? Or going throughout your life. I mean, the best analogy that I've ever heard is that when they send a rocket out to the moon, when they were doing that, and they were said that it was off course 95% of the time. I'm like, think about that. The rocket that they sent to the moon was off course 90% of the time. So every time they found they were off course, they just made a minor correction.
And these are rocket scientists.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. So it's like, 30 degrees to the right. You know what I mean? It's like, 22 degrees left. And it's like, and they're just making these corrections, and then boom, you get there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so those are the types of things about work-life balance. There is no real 50-50 balance.
Constantly checking in with yourself to try to see where you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hear that. I know that we're passionate about different aspects of leadership. Mm-hmm. Leaders are. I come across, I have conversations with many different leaders, and everyone has their tilt, their tick, the thing that's like, I wish we could just get this right in leadership, and maybe I want to be the person to do it. What's that thing for you for leadership where I'm like, I'm really invested in this section of leadership, and I really want to see some progress in that?
For me, it's communication.
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah,
it's communication, and when I talk about communication, I'm talking about listening also. Mm-hmm. So, and it's also being able to communicate your mistakes. Like, I think people complicate leadership, to be honest.
It's so simple.
It's so simple.
It really is. It's difficult, but it's simple.
It's simple.
Yeah.
Because people are the most valuable resource of any organization, and yet we spend the least amount of time investing in our people, investing in their well-being, investing in their mental health, investing. I mean, if a department is toxic or has low morale, that's impacting your everything. That's impacting your bottom line. Mm-hmm. It's impacting your retention. You're not keeping your good people. I mean, so it's very simple, but we complicate it because we're always looking for that next big thing. And through Chuck and I, when we're working together, we really focus on taking the complicated and making it simple. That is the thing that most of our conversations are around. He goes, why are you using that word? Can we find a word that's more accessible? Can we find a way of presenting this that people are going to get and understand? And not only that they're going to be able to start implementing right away.
Yeah, if we need it. We need the language for it and all of it. Yeah. What about you?
Well, a couple of things. My big thing is communication and making it accessible. It's really challenging, and I'm calling out right now in a loving way. Actually, I'm calling in our intellectuals or academics, because they get into spaces and they forget that most people have not read 3%, 5% of what they've read, have experienced academically what they've experienced, and they start speaking way over their heads, and people just instantly, what do they say about a confused mind?
Mm-hmm.
Does nothing. They shut down, and
freeze
then they become resentful because they think you're being condescending. So my big thing is like, hey, I'm a kindergarten teacher by trade. So all I do is I speak in the way that I'm talking to a 5-year-old. And if I can help a 5-year-old to understand something, that means I can understand. That means we all can understand it. And if we all can understand it, we all can have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my big thing, is to really try to keep it at a place where we're talking about really heavy stuff, but we're keeping it in a way where all of us are able to engage in this heavy stuff.
That's kind of what this conversation has been, and I've picked up on that. That's kind of one of the is one of the things that I know as a leader. I was seeing that there was some difficulty because of translation. Maybe you mentioned earlier about now that you had language for the imposter syndrome, right? You didn't have language for that, but if you did before, you probably would have been able to speak to it and start to investigate that on your own. And I think that's one of the things that we're charged with as leaders, is like, let's create some common language for everyone so that we can continue the conversation and keep people focused on the vision and mission. This has been a really impactful conversation, and I wanted to have some fun with you guys before I leave, and then you guys can plug the things that you're doing right now. I'll ask all the guests this same question, but I'm always interested to see where the conversation will go. If you could switch places with a leader from any generation. Yes, so I'm going to pause there. So, because I saw both eyes go up like, okay. Mm-hmm. So from any generation, who would it be, and then why? Why are you switching with that person?
So many. There's so many.
Okay, I would switch place. I wanted to meet him before I died. I mean, before he died. Okay. I didn't die.
Yeah. She's here in the flesh, guys.
Jim Rohn.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Jim Rohn?
No, because I think someone else on here mentioned Jim Rohn. I really remember. Come on, go, give it to me.
And you said why? The reason is,
so give folks who is Jim. So if people don't know who Jim Rohn is,
so all I know is that he's a master leader. He's very big in personal development.
Yes.
And
I was in New Orleans when I heard this. Yes, I know who this is. He used to have videos online or film like late night sessions to try to support people in leadership. I do remember this. Yeah.
And I remember the first time that I read. It was called the four something of life. I can't remember. The Four Seasons of Life.
By Jim Rohn. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It changed my life.
Yeah.
And a lot of that information that I got from listening to him built the foundation of my leadership journey. And one thing I wanted to manifest it, but I didn't get a chance to, is that I wanted to meet him before, he passed away, but it didn't happen because the nuggets that he dropped were so simple and I could start implementing them right away. It was to the point that our kids, we told our one daughter we were going to try to get him to come and speak at her graduation. Like, he was a household name.
Okay.
And a lot of his principles impacted our daughters also.
Nice. Jim Rohn, got a shout out. Yeah.
Jim Rohn he's one. I could see that. I'm trying to think. Mine aren't like that. I would say somebody whose leadership. I wish there were some people that I could still talk to, like Mr. and Mrs. Ford. They both passed away, and I would love to be able to still talk to them. But leadership wise,
who would you switch roles with? Any generation. Any generation.
I would probably say I would love to switch roles with, not to be walking and getting spat on and bricks thrown at me and stabbed and then ultimately assassinated. But I would like to just see what, to be Martin Luther King with the information that I have, along with the information that he has.
Talk to why? Give me. I think
I
know where you're going, but I want to hear what
I think that Dr. King was so good at what he did, right? He was able to pull together, and think about how young he was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most people don't think about that.
He was in his 20s doing
He was assassinated at 39.
Mm-hmm.
And he started at like 23, 24, and he gathered you talk about generational leadership. He was definitely a Gen Z.
He was
a Gen Z, right?
Yeah.
For today's people. So imagine a Gen Z with us, I'm a Gen X and baby boomers all
together.
Following behind this Gen Z person, right? 23, 24 years old. And so I think that one of the things that I would like to switch with him to be able to say, hey, you need to go ahead and get your young guys in faster. You need to be working with the Stokely Carmichaels and the John Lewises and the whole SNCC crew. And you also need, I lost her name. Oh my gosh. But she was the woman who really.
Claudette Colvin.
Yes. Thank you. And you need to be lifting her up and making sure that the world knows who she is, because we need these young ladies to be able to really see. I mean, we did have Fannie Lou Hamer and others, but we needed to have people know that you can also be a leader 360 degrees, right, from behind the scenes. So Claudette Colvin with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, as well as SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, she's the glue. She's the reason why. And I'd be like, if we had that type of stuff going on and women seeing that they have leadership, now I think we would have been able to do more exponentially.
You both unpacked a lot of like what I think leaders are charged with, which is one, recognizing skill set in others to like build other leaders, which is what I feel like you're hitting at there, building that next set of people. And the way in which we do that is by just watching, observing, assessing, really trying to make sure that we know the skill sets of others and then putting them in place in the proper places so that they can begin their leadership journey. What, if any, but I know you have much, what advice would you give to the next generation of leaders that are coming up? Like, what is that one thing you want to tell them, like, hey, I kind of think I know what you're going to say. You better work on that communication. But like, what's that one thing that you like, if I wish someone would have told me this at the beginning of my leadership journey?
Comparison is the thief of joy. And I say that because I can only be the best Christine that I can be. And a lot of times I hesitated because I was looking at someone else and thinking, I can never do it like that. I could never say it like that. Oh man. And I was right. I can't say it like that, but I can say it like how I can say it. Yeah. And I think that oftentimes as new leaders, you get into a role and you feel like you have to be someone else or you have to live up to someone else's standards, but you just got to be yourself, because if you get caught up in comparing yourself to someone else, you'll overlook the gifts that you have and that someone else may need from you because you're too busy trying to be something that the world already has.
Clip that up. I don't know what time that was, but that's definitely a short. Go ahead. What advice would you give to your younger self or to the next generation of leaders?
Well, there's two things. Number one, I was fortunate enough at 19 years old to work for the Hillman Company. And for those of you who don't know, the Hillman Company is one of the wealthiest families in the city of Pittsburgh, which at the time was the second wealthiest city in the country. We're still in the top 5. But the Hillmans, they basically were Carnegie, Hillman, Mellon, so on and so forth. And I worked with a historian, a gentleman by the name of D.G. Sisterson. Mr. Sisterson was 95 years old. I was 19. Mr. Sisterson worked for Henry Hillman's father. So Henry Hillman Jr. was there, and he was like 70 when I was there, And but Mr. Sisterson gave me some advice that I didn't follow. And I'm just like kicking myself because I'm really good at following directions, right? And he told me, he was like, Chuck, let me tell you something. He said, there's 2 things you need to do. He said, number one, because Sisterson and Company runs all of the Hillman's family office funds, billions of dollars. 100+ person accounting firm, still runs it to this day. He said, take some accounting courses. And I was like, Mr. Shellman, I don't even know what a CPA is. I literally didn't. I found out from him what a CPA was. We take accounting courses, what? And then he said, also, you need to learn how to play golf. And he said, everything happens on the golf course. And I didn't learn how to play golf until I was in like 52.
What's your handicap? No, we're
terrible. But the second thing is that we need to think about, especially talking to young people, there is a third space, no matter what generation you're talking to, right? So it's like you come into a space with a certain set of knowledge and skills that you have, and you want to impart upon others in the world. But conversely, the person that you're dealing with or the people that you're dealing with, they have a certain set of knowledge and skills that they want to impart upon the world. And so if you can work in that third space where like the Venn diagram where it all overlaps,
right in the middle.
Right? Now you have that synergy. And in that synergy is where the magic happens.
That's what you want to tell your daughter, the youngest one, huh? Yeah. Get in the center right there. I hear that. That's a beautiful bow to put on the end of that. I wanted to say this before because we're going to wrap up with you guys plugging all of the great things. Because I love a good packaging. You said some things that I resonated with as well. I know the crew behind the scenes, they know how much I have an affinity for excellence, aesthetics, how things look, the quality of them. And so I'll take my time until I get that. Looking at one of the producers of the show, he knows I'm like, nope, that don't look at that little dot over there. That's not, almost to OCD. But we had some synergy, and I wanted to hopefully use this moment to kind of encourage someone. You talked about how you didn't do very well in school, but I introduced you as Dr. Herring. And I'm the same. So we have some connectivity, and I wanted to mention it on camera because I probably would do it off as well. I graduated high school with a 1.75 GPA, and I'm Dr. Wilkins, right?
There you
It's
go.
funny. It's like, wow, the guy that hated school, or not even so much hated it, just the light was turned off. And now to get a degree in educational leadership is like, that guy, the guy that barely graduated high school, is the guy that was running high schools, right? And now I'm consulting high schools, so it's all funny. But I wanted to say that on camera because I believe that there is a group of folks that have that imposter syndrome, right? All of this is connecting together now. Have that imposter syndrome. They probably, didn't do as well as they thought that they should, or that the world tells you should in these positions, and they don't want to move forward. So I hope that you guys can take a lot of what the Herrings have said and put it into practice right away. I really do think that this is a testimony of just like God's grace, communication, some efficacy, some mentorship. It's all of the great things that leadership can pull out of people if you have the right leaders in place. So thank you guys for your time today. I wanted to give you guys some space to plug your individual and or collective things. So we're looking at this great book. If you want to talk to our audience about this book and where can they get it and how did it come about, we'll start with that. And then we'll talk about your consulting company as well.
So Mind Jukebox came out of my oldest daughter, see our children, we're a family that influences each other, telling me that if I'm going to be a thought leader, I needed to be on some kind of social media platform. And I was like, no, thank you.
You're behind the scenes kind of person.
I did not want to put myself out there. And she was like, just pick one, but you have to do it. And so again, I want to do what I want. When I tell them to do something and trust me, I got to do that same thing back. And so I decided to go on LinkedIn, and I said, I don't know what to write. She said, what do you enjoy? Something that you're passionate about? And I was like, inclusive leadership. So I started my LinkedIn posting, and I made a decision I was going to post every week. And I put that out on LinkedIn. I did a video and everything on New Year's, like it's going to be 52 weeks of inclusive leadership. after about the 4th week, I was like,
exhausted.
oh my God, why did I decide to do that? But again, excellence. I said I was going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Nice.
And Chuck and I were on a road trip, and we were talking. I can't even remember where the conversation was going, but he said, that's your book. And I was like, because I've always wanted to write a book. And he said, that's your book. And I was like, what? He was like, all that content, you're going to repurpose that, and it's going to be a book. And then we started just hashing out ideas. What could it be about? And he was like, we were at lunch with a niece, and she was telling me something about remix, like, because she wanted me to get on Facebook. Everybody wants me to be on social media, videotaping and all this stuff that I have no desire to do.
Since a child, people have been saying, come on and lead us, voluntold, huh?
Yes. Yeah. And so thus the name Mind Jukebox came up, because what goes on in our mind, most of the thing that goes in our mind, it goes on in the behind, what's the tracks that are playing in the back of our minds a lot of times are negative. So how do we remix those negative tracks? And so music has always been a big part of our family.
Nice.
And Chuck had this idea about, the books looking like albums. Blue Note is where we landed. And the sides, they're 7 inches, and we wanted something easy. Each chapter is a track. So it's only 1 page long. You can pick it up and look at it and start reading anywhere in the book. But the hook is that each of the tracks are written inspired by a song. And so the song is the piece to help you connect that leadership tip. So for example, the first one is Lean on Me by Bill Withers. And then we talk about how, you need a team to lean upon.
Okay.
So each yeah. And I didn't want to put everything in one big book. So I broke it down into 13 tracks for each book. And it was fun researching the songs to figure out which song would go with what in leadership tip I wanted to give. And then at the end of each tip, I encourage people to listen to the song and use that to remix the soundtracks playing in the back of your mind.
That is awesome. Mind Jukebox by Dr. Herring. This is awesome. Oh, and I want to ask, is the 7 inch, is that 45? Am I on?
Yes, it's 45.
Okay, I was scared.
Yes,
I was
wait.
See, I'm also showing my age.
Pick that up.
Okay.
Open it up and take a look in there right quick.
Dominique, this is for you, because I know my middle daughter is into vinyls now.
Okay, so take a look. Just flip through. Now you see.
Oh, wow. Oh,
I almost
went to grab it. Like, take that thing out. This is awesome, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's a work of art, but it's also a work of art that will move your mind. We call it a gem. It's small, but it's priceless.
Awesome, man.
And she gives gems to everybody.
She's dropped quite a few of them today.
Yes,
what about you? Plug your stuff. What do you got going on? Where can people find you?
Oh, people can find me anywhere. So we actually are thought leaders on LinkedIn. That actually happened. She primarily does. And it's funny because I'm doing inclusive leadership, because she started off on LinkedIn after she did Mind Jukebox, she flipped into impactful communication.
So what you're doing too, okay.
Yeah,
I see
so
it.
absolutely. Yeah. So because it's funny, I was doing all the communication stuff at first, but now we just do what we do. So it's really just a melding of the minds, and they really overlap, because the best leaders are the best communicators, and the best communicators are the best leaders. So it's really just, just a gumbo that tastes delicious.
What's your handles? Give your handles so that people can find you. We'll put this at the bottom of the screen as well.
I don't know. I think I'm. See, I never know.
We're gonna find it.
I think I'm at Dr. I think I'm at Dr. Christine.
Okay.
Dr. Christine Herring.
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna clean all of it up.
Yes.
And you got some work to do.
And you can get you can get the books at herringseminars.com.
Okay.
They're off our website.
herringseminars.com.
And I'm at Chuck Herring.
At Chuck Herring.
Guys,
this has been a really great interview. I wouldn't even call it an interview. This is a conversation. I picked up a lot of stuff from this as well. I think that this will be one of our higher viewing episodes. I think this is I really do appreciate you guys for giving up your time and sharing with folks about the perils of leadership, all of the dynamics, and just your story as well. Again, I'm Dr. Don Wilkins. I am the author of Barriers to Breakthrough, and I'm the founder of Transformation 180. And this is all for you guys to kind of support you guys with the work that you're doing in leadership, wherever that is, whether it's in a school building, an organization, whether you're in business or accounting or whatever you're doing, leadership is important. And we know that, and we're trying to help. So that's what this is for. These are the Herrings. We're signing out. Thank you.